Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that digs into fascinating source materials to pull out the knowledge and insights that matter, especially for you.
We aim to get beyond the surface, really explore the why behind the what.
And today, wow, we're tackling a life story that honestly feels like it's straight out of science fiction sometimes. We're talking about Elon Musk.
Musk, definitely a figure who looms large.
Absolutely. Just try to picture this trajectory. A person goes from, literally sleeping on an office couch, sometimes needing to shower at a YMCA.
Right, the early Zip2 days.
Exactly. To then becoming, at least for a while, the richest individual on the entire planet, overseeing companies that are fundamentally reshaping huge industries, electric cars, space travel.
It's an astonishing arc. Almost unbelievable when you lay it out like that.
It really is. And the big question, the one that so many people ask, is just how? How does a kid from South Africa, starting out with not much, end up controlling these incredible innovation-driving companies like Tesla and SpaceX?
That's the core of it, isn't it?
So our mission for this deep dive is exactly that. To really unpack the story of his rise, we want to pull out those key insights, those specific examples from the sources that show not just what he accomplished, but how he did it. And maybe, just maybe, what lessons we can learn from such a, let's say, unconventional path.
And that's precisely what we're aiming for here. We're not just going through a biography timeline point by point.
Yeah.
We're really trying to explore the underlying elements.
Like what?
Well, the choices he made, often incredibly unconventional ones. The huge risks he took, risks that were almost existential for him personally and for his companies. And, of course, the sheer relentless effort, that famous intensity.
Like the legendary work ethic.
Exactly. It's about how all these things came together to turn visions that many people thought were completely outlandish
Right.
into tangible realities that are actually changing the world. Right. So our sources let us sift through the information, the anecdotes, the data, to understand not just the sequence of events, but the why. Why did these things matter? What were the underlying motivations? And crucially, what lessons, maybe even counterintuitive ones, can we actually draw from a path that's so singular, so unprecedented?
So it's more than just a biography.
Oh, absolutely. We're trying to sort of dissect the DNA here, the DNA of extreme ambition combined with truly extraordinary execution. It's about understanding the specific levers he pulled again and again to push boundaries way beyond what most people thought was possible.
Getting past the headlines.
Precisely. Getting to the operational intensity, the real story behind the achievements.
Okay, so let's dive into the very beginning then. Before the billions, before SpaceX rockets were landing themselves, before Tesla cars became, almost commonplace in some areas, there was his childhood. It started in Pretoria, South Africa, back in 1971. And the sources we looked at paint this really interesting picture, almost a duality in his early life, that feels pretty significant for understanding who he became later.
What kind of duality?
Well, on one side, you have this kid with a profound, almost obsessive relationship with books. I mean, we're talking about a child who basically lived in libraries and bookstores.
Devouring everything.
Everything. Fantasy, science fiction, sure, but also entire encyclopedias, technical manuals. He was building this intense inner world deeply connected to computers, electronics, science fiction becoming science fact.
He was essentially programming his own internal database.
That's a great way to put it. Building this intellectual fortress, this sort of foundational knowledge base that you can see him drawing on later.
And that kind of intellectual curiosity, that deep dive into learning, it's a pattern you see often, isn't it? In people who achieve extraordinary things.
Definitely.
For Musk, it seemed it wasn't just casual reading. It was active absorption, like really digging into complex subjects super young. I mean, the story is he literally read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica as a kid.
The whole thing. Wow.
Yeah. Think about how that might wire your brain. Understanding systems, connections between different fields, it really fosters that first principles thinking approach he talks about.
Breaking problems down to their absolute basics.
Exactly. Not just reasoning by analogy, like,
Wow.
well, other people do it this way.
Hmm.
He learned how to learn deeply. And that became a kind of superpower later, allowing him to jump into industries where he was a total outsider and challenge everything.
Okay, so that's the intellectual side, this rich inner world. But then the sources are also very clear about the other side. His external reality was, well, it was tough, really tough.
The bullying.
Yes, severe bullying during his school years. And it wasn't just name calling or emotional stuff, though I'm sure there's plenty of that. It got physical, really
The
physical.
point of injury, right?
Yes, he actually ended up hospitalized because of it, more than once, apparently.
Yeah.
There's one story about him being thrown down a flight of concrete stairs and then beaten unconscious.
Oof. That's brutal.
It really is. It's such a stark contrast, isn't it? This incredibly bright, curious mind dealing with such relentless physical adversity. You can almost feel that tension.
And that's what's fascinating, looking back. That potential connection between facing that kind of severe early adversity and the resilience we see later. That almost defiant refusal to quit.
How do you think that might have shaped him?
Well, you have to wonder, right? Experiencing something like repeated physical attacks, ending up in the hospital, how does that shape your drive, your determination? Does facing such an overwhelming external threat maybe forge an internal strength, a kind of refusal to be broken by outside pressure?
A higher pain tolerance, maybe.
Exactly. Not just physical, but psychological too. Maybe tolerance for setbacks, for public criticism, for the intense pressure that comes with running these kinds of high-stakes companies. It's plausible that surviving that kind of hardship makes you less afraid of, well, of failing,
Yeah.
of going against the grain, of tackling problems others call impossible.
Because you've faced worse.
Perhaps. Or maybe it just instills this incredibly deep desire to control your own environment, your own destiny, so you're never in that vulnerable position again.
Interesting. And then connecting that difficult personal experience with well, his drive to create. The sources mention something quite remarkable. At just 12 years old.
The video game.
Yes. He'd already sold his first video game. It was called Blast Star. He sold it for about $500.
Which was decent money back then for a 12-year-old.
For sure. And it's more than just a cute story about a smart kid, isn't it? It feels like a really early, really concrete sign of a mind that doesn't just absorb information.
But applies it, creates value.
Right. He didn't just play games, he made one, coded it himself in BASIC on an old Commodore VC-20. And then he didn't just make it, he found a way to sell it.
And that whole process, conceptualizing, building, actually commercializing something, finding a market, delivering, doing that at 12, that builds incredible confidence. It reinforces that problem-solving muscle.
It's like a mini blueprint for everything that came later.
Totally. It shows that natural inclination towards not just invention, but business, too. What does it really mean to demonstrate that level of determination and follow-through at such a young age? It lays this groundwork for seeing problems as opportunities, and it shows a bias toward action, not just thinking, but doing.
So, piecing that early period together, you get this distinct mix emerging. Intense intellect, fueled by this voracious reading.
A desire to create, to understand how things work.
Combined with this undeniable resilience, maybe forged in that difficult environment.
It's a powerful, maybe even paradoxical combination, intellect and toughness.
Yeah. And that early life with its highs of intellectual discovery and lows of real personal struggle, it really does feel like it sets the stage for the next huge steps he takes. You can sense the forces shaping his ambitions.
Okay, so building on that foundation, the learning, the resilience, that early entrepreneurial spark, the next major chapter involves a really bold move at just 17.
Leaving South Africa. Exactly. He makes this huge decision. He leaves South Africa basically with nothing. The sources emphasize this wasn't just moving house, it was a massive leap of faith.
Driven by an idea.
Yes, this deeply held belief, maybe a bit romanticized, that America was the place where big dreams could come true, where innovation was really happening.
The land of opportunity.
Pretty much. He landed first in Canada, studied at Queen's University for a bit, but his goal was the U.S. As soon as he could, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania.
Ivy League.
Right. He wanted to be closer to that hub of technological advancement he believed in. Think about the conviction that takes at 17, leaving everything familiar behind for this abstract idea of opportunity an ocean away.
It really does raise that question. What does it take inside someone to do that? At that age? To leave your home, your family, everything you know, travel to a different continent with, as you said, almost nothing.
Just fueled by belief.
It highlights this incredible sense of purpose he must have already had, and a willingness to embrace massive uncertainty. He didn't have a guaranteed job waiting or anything.
No safety net.
None.
Yeah.
And choosing America specifically. It wasn't random. It shows he already had this keen sense of where the action was, technologically speaking, where the entrepreneurial ecosystem was strong, where capital flowed, where innovation was encouraged.
You knew where he needed to be.
It's a real testament to the power of conviction. Believing so strongly in the potential of a place, the American entrepreneurial spirit, that you bet everything on getting there. That willingness to go all in on a belief, it really foreshadows later decisions, doesn't it?
Definitely. It shows someone guided less by comfort and more by, well, grand ambition, almost irrespective of personal costs.
And that conviction, that belief, it turned into action incredibly quickly. After graduating from Penn, he actually started a PhD program at Stanford in physics.
Right. But didn't last long.
Barely. Dropped out after just 2 days. Why? Because he saw the internet boom happening right then. He felt he couldn't wait.
Didn't want to miss it.
Exactly. So in 1995, he teams up with his brother Kimball, and they start Zip2.
Which was pretty pioneering for its time.
Absolutely. It was basically software to help bring local businesses online. Think early online city guides, local directories with maps, stuff we take for granted now, but revolutionary then.
And the stories from that period are just wild. They capture that work ethic we talked about.
Oh, yeah. Non-stop work, literally. Sleeping in the office, under the desk sometimes, eating, sleeping, breathing, Zip2.
Pouring every bit of energy into it right in the middle of that chaotic early .com era.
And that Zip2 story, it gives us that concrete proof of the relentless hard work mantra. It's not just talk. Sleeping in the office isn't just a funny anecdote. It signals total dedication, complete immersion.
Sacrificing basic comfort.
Totally. Showering at the YMCA because they couldn't afford an apartment, living off cheap food. That level of sacrifice for 4 years, it paid off. Big time.
The acquisition by Compaq.
Right. In 1999, Compaq saw the value in what they'd built, that online mapping and directory tech, and bought Zip2 for $307 million.
Cash. Making Elon Musk a millionaire at just 27.
Which is incredible, especially back then. For almost anyone else, that would be it. Mission accomplished, lifetime achievement unlocked.
Time to relax, maybe.
You'd think, buy the island, enjoy life. But the sources are crystal clear.
Huh.
He didn't stop. Didn't even seem to pause, really. No long vacation.
Immediately on to the next thing.
Which really makes you wonder about the mindset, doesn't it? What drives someone to achieve that level of success so early and instead of resting, immediately look for the next, even bigger challenge?
Yeah, it's not just about the money, clearly.
No. It sets up this critical pattern. Success isn't an end goal. It's fuel for the next, more ambitious project. It's like Zip2 was just a stepping stone towards a much grander vision he was already formulating.
That next step was huge. He absolutely didn't slow down. Within months of the Zip2 sale.
He co-founds X.com.
Exactly. Which eventually merges with a competitor, Confinity, to become PayPal.
A name everyone knows now.
Right. And this online payment system turned out to be even more successful and arguably much more transformative than Zip2. It was a really visionary move into digital finance, which was just starting. They had to figure out all sorts of tough problems: fraud, security, building user trust online.
Creating the infrastructure for e-commerce, essentially.
Totally.
Yeah.
And this platform, PayPal, it just took off. It became fundamental to early online buying and selling. And then in 2002, eBay comes along
Sees the strategic value.
and buys PayPal for a whopping $1.5 billion.
$1,500 million. Just a few years after Zip 2.
The scale is amazing. And from that sale, Musk's personal share was over $100 million.
So it went from millionaire at 27 to having over $100 million just a few years later.
It's this incredible exponential curve, not just in wealth, but in the impact of the companies, too.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, PayPal wasn't just another dot-com success. It was a genuinely strategic masterstroke. It showed this uncanny ability to see where the digital economy is going, identify a critical missing piece.
Secure online payments.
Right. And then build the platform that becomes essential infrastructure. It literally enabled millions of people, small businesses, to participate in e-commerce safely. It unlocked massive potential.
So it wasn't a fluke, the Zip2 success.
Not at all.
Yeah.
What's really striking is the rapid succession of these huge wins. Zip2, then PayPal. Each one bigger, more complex, more impactful. It shows this clear pattern. Identify an emerging high-stakes market, dive in with total commitment, execute relentlessly, and build something foundational.
Seeing the future and then building it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And think about what having over $100 million before you're even 30 does. It changes the game entirely for what you can even think about doing next.
It gives you options most people can't even dream of.
Exactly. It frees you up, or maybe for someone like Musk, it compels you to think beyond personal gain, to think about tackling much, much bigger problems, almost species-level challenges.
Okay, so let's follow that progression. He's just made over $100 million from the PayPal sale. By any normal measure, that's set for life money. More than set for life.
Unimaginable wealth for most people.
Right. You'd think, okay, now's the time. Buy that island, maybe start a foundation, enjoy the fruits of that incredible labor and risk.
Retire very, very comfortably.
But instead, he does something that just seems, well, almost crazy. He did the unthinkable. He didn't just invest part of his fortune, he risked everything.
All of it.
The sources are really emphatic on this. He took his entire PayPal payout, that $100 million plus fortune, and poured every single penny into not one, but three incredibly ambitious, incredibly difficult, and incredibly capital-hungry startups simultaneously.
Tesla, SpaceX, and SolarCity.
Yes. Electric cars, private space exploration, and solar energy. It just defies conventional financial wisdom, doesn't it? Especially after winning big twice already.
It really forces that question, why? Why would someone who has already achieved that level of financial independence make such an, well, existential gamble?
Existential is a good word for it.
Because it wasn't just a portion of his wealth, it was everything. On 3 ventures at once, all needing massive amounts of cash, all facing huge technological and market hurdles. It speaks to a conviction that goes so far beyond just making more money.
It wasn't about personal wealth anymore.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
It suggests this vision he had for sustainable energy, for making humanity multiplanetary, was so powerful, so urgent in his mind, that his personal fortune was just a tool, a resource to be deployed for that cause, no matter the personal risk.
Personal financial security just wasn't the priority.
Apparently not. The mission, the vision, dwarfed it completely.
Yeah.
This is really where the narrative shifts, I think, from successful tech entrepreneur to something else. A visionary pioneer willing to stake his entire existence on these incredibly audacious goals.
It's an extraordinary mindset.
It really is, driven by a purpose that seems almost non-negotiable to him.
And okay, he makes this enormous bet. But it wasn't like things immediately took off smoothly after that. Far from it.
Oh no, the 2008 period was brutal.
Brutal. The sources describe this period of just intense struggle, constant financial stress, moments where everything nearly collapsed. At one point, right in the thick of the 2008 financial crisis,
Everything was on the brink.
all three companies, Tesla, SpaceX, Solar City, were teetering, really close to bankruptcy. Tesla was bleeding cash, struggling with producing the Roadster. SpaceX had suffered multiple launch failures of its Falcon 1 rocket.
3 failures in a row. One more, and they were likely done.
And Solar City was also burning through money, all of them simultaneously facing potential collapse.
Just imagine the pressure.
Unbelievable. And the sources even paint this picture of his personal finances being completely wiped out. He had to borrow money from friends just to cover basic living costs, like rent,
Borrowing rent money after having over $100 million just a few years before.
because he'd put every last cent into the companies. He was apparently back to eating ramen noodles, as the saying goes. The level of commitment is staggering.
And what's fascinating there is that resilience again, right? But on a whole new level. To navigate that kind of crisis with 3 companies hanging by a thread.
Most people would have folded.
Absolutely. Cut losses, declare bankruptcy on 1 or 2, consolidate something. But the story is he just pushed harder. He pressed on, despite the very real chance of losing absolutely everything, the money, the companies, his reputation.
The thin line between breakthrough and total collapse.
Exactly. It shows that even with prior success, even with a clear vision, trying to fundamentally change industries is incredibly perilous. It requires a level of conviction, maybe even stubbornness, that most people just don't have.
Risking money is one thing, but risking being broke again after tasting that success.
It's different. It points to that deep, almost irrational belief in the mission, overriding personal comfort, security, everything. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many potentially world-changing ideas have died right on that brink?
Because the founder lacked that ultimate conviction, or the capital, or the sheer psychological tolerance for that kind of stress.
Exactly. It's sobering thought.
But, like, against those incredible odds, that massive gamble, that all-in bet, it actually paid off.
Dramatically. There are these incredibly pivotal moments.
Make or break moments, like in September 2008, SpaceX, after those 3 gut-wrenching failures.
They successfully launched Falcon 1 into orbit.
Huge. It was this monumental achievement. It stunned the established aerospace industry, proved their concept, and crucially, it secured a vital NASA contract that basically saved the company financially.
Lifeline.
Total lifeline. And then, almost at the exact same time, Tesla finally started delivering its first production Roadsters to customers.
The electric sports car.
Yeah. And it was so much more than just a car. It proved definitively that electric vehicles could be exciting, desirable, fast.
Shattering that golf cart image.
Completely. It did 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. Supercar performance. These weren't just small victories, they were fundamental breakthroughs. They validated the visions that seemed impossible just months earlier.
Open the floodgates.
Exactly, for investment, for talent, for public belief.
And when you connect those moments to the bigger picture, they really were paradigm shifts, weren't they?
How so?
Well, SpaceX proving reusable rockets weren't just sci-fi, but actually economically smart. That fundamentally changed the cost equation for accessing space. Falcon 1 was the proof, but Falcon 9, with its landings, that revolutionized the industry. Launch costs plummeted.
Making space accessible in a new way?
Precisely. And Tesla. The Roadster wasn't just about selling a few expensive sports cars. It showed the potential. It proved skeptics wrong about performance, about desirability. It was the spark that ignited the entire global shift towards electric vehicles that we're still living through.
Kick the whole EV revolution into high gear.
Absolutely. So those moments weren't just about saving the companies or making money eventually. They were about validating a future, proving that these seemingly impossible things could be done. It speaks volumes about perseverance, about that unwavering belief combined with serious engineering chops.
They were the catalysts.
Definitely. They attracted more money, attracted brilliant engineers who wanted to work on these exciting missions, and just accelerated everything from the
Wow.
brink of collapse to, well, to unbelievable growth trajectories.
Okay, so now we get to the part where that huge gamble, that period of near collapse, really starts to pay off, and not just pay off a little bit.
It's paid off in spades.
Hmm.
An understatement, perhaps.
Right. Beyond what anyone, maybe even Musk himself, could have predicted back in those dark days of 2008. Let's take Tesla. It didn't just survive, it exploded.
Became the most valuable car company in the world.
Exactly. For a time, it surpassed automakers that had been around for a century. Ford, GM, Toyota in market value. A company started from scratch, built on this impossible EV dream, becomes worth hundreds of billions of dollars more than the established giants. It's staggering.
Mind-boggling valuation.
And then SpaceX. It didn't just launch a rocket successfully, it fundamentally changed the entire space industry, making reusable rockets routine. That was science fiction before SpaceX.
And they made a standard operating procedure.
Drastically cutting launch costs, winning massive NASA and military contracts, launching Starlink. They weren't just competing anymore, they were setting the agenda, redefining the entire game.
Dominating the commercial launch market.
And with every massive success from Tesla, every groundbreaking launch from SpaceX, Elon's personal wealth just went vertical.
Skyrocketed is the word often used.
It really did, an unprecedented explosion of wealth, but one that was directly tied to these huge technological disruptions, these massive shifts in major global industries.
And that raises another big question, doesn't it? What does it actually mean to disrupt not just one, but multiple, enormous, deeply entrenched industries like automotive and aerospace simultaneously?
It's more than just luck.
Oh, far more. This level of success points to a sustained capacity for innovation, yes, but also for relentless execution, for managing incredible complexity, for fighting off powerful incumbents. Skyrocketed isn't hyperbole here. It reflects a compounding effect.
Success breeding success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A virtuous cycle. Each win provides more resources, attracts more talent, builds more momentum, leading to bigger wins. Tesla's value isn't just about cars sold. It's about the perceived future of energy and transport, driven by their battery tech, software, manufacturing innovations like the gigafactories.
It's a bet on the future they're building.
Precisely. And SpaceX isn't just launches. It's about enabling a multiplanetary future, connecting the globe with Starlink, developing the truly audacious Starship. It shows the power of tackling these huge, complex, high-value problems that other people thought were either impossible or just not worth the immense risk and effort.
Finding the big levers and pulling them hard.
You could say that, finding fundamental weaknesses in old ways of doing things and committing everything to build something radically different, often using that first principles approach to innovate, not just iterate.
And all of this leads to a specific moment in time. The culmination of this incredible rise, this reshaping of industries, 2021.
The moment he passed Jeff Bezos.
Yes, the sources confirm it. In 2021, Elon Musk officially became the richest person alive on planet Earth.
And not just by a little bit.
No. With a net worth that peaked at over $200 billion. Some estimates went even higher later. It's a number that's almost difficult to really comprehend for one person.
A direct result of the value created, or at least perceived by the market, in those companies he risked everything on.
It's the ultimate validation, in financial terms at least, of that incredible journey.
And connecting that to the bigger picture again. Becoming the wealthiest person isn't just a number on a list. It's a symbol, isn't it? A symbol of extraordinary impact, of influence, and a validation of this unique, often controversial approach he takes.
From sleeping on the couch?
To number one on the Forbes list. That whole journey, starting with almost nothing, marked by that childhood adversity, it really underscores the power of that specific rare mix we've been talking about.
Risk tolerance.
Extreme risk tolerance, visionary thinking, seeing decades ahead, And that unwavering, relentless hard work and perseverance, especially when things looked bleakest.
It's a testament to the idea that maybe, just maybe, individuals can create that kind of immense world-altering value if they're willing to tackle problems on a scale few others even dare to think about.
And possess the sheer force of will and operational focus to push through every obstacle imaginable, building entirely new ways of doing things, it really makes you think about what that level of capital and influence enables and what responsibilities come with it.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation, perhaps. Hashtag tag tag outro. So, wrapping this up, what does this deep dive into Elon Musk's story mean for you listening right now?
I think it's nothing else. It's this really compelling reminder, isn't it? That this potent mix, taking huge risks, having an audacious vision for the future, and backing it up with truly relentless hard work, it actually can change the world.
It's not just a cliche in his case.
Not at all. Going from that bullied kid in Pretoria, finding refuge in books and code, to becoming the richest person on earth by fundamentally reshaping huge industries, it's an incredible testament to dreaming big.
Yeah.
Really big. And then pursuing those dreams with everything you have. Truly never giving up.
Even when the odds are stacked against you, when the money's gone, when literally everyone is telling you it's impossible, it's just a powerful story about pushing boundaries, defying expectations, and the sheer force of individual will.
And if we connect that back one last time, this exploration really shows us that behind these massive success stories, behind the headlines and the billions, there are almost always profound struggles. There are those audacious gambles that could have easily ended in complete failure.
The moments on the brink.
Exactly. And there's that unwavering, almost stubborn commitment when almost anyone else would have thrown in the towel. It really encourages us to look past the easy narratives, doesn't it? To try and understand the deep conviction, the incredible fortitude, the sheer perseverance that's required for achievements on this scale.
It's about that relentless pursuit of goals others deem impossible.
Applying that first principles thinking, refusing to accept limitations, even when it costs you personally.
So, thinking about this deep dive, about Elon Musk's journey, the risks, the vision, the work ethic, what aspect of that resonates most with your own goals, your own aspirations, and maybe, just maybe, what impossible goal might you reconsider tackling, having heard this story today? Something to think about.